I think you go back to 2018, 2019 when you look back in history, the last long-range master plan that we've had for the golf course was 1990. And we start looking at what improvements we can make to this course. We didn't want to just put a bunker there or a tree there. So we got together in 1819, formed a master planning committee for the golf course, and started to interview architects to get to this point. And also during that time frame, you look at the last big renovation that we had here at Ccl, and that was the greens in 1993. So you fast forward to 19 and 20, and you look at the putting surface typically has a 20 to 30 year life expectancy. If we're going to look at redoing these greens in the next year or so, then what more can we do to this course to make it better, not only now, but for the next 20, 30, 40 years?
Well, why do it now? You know, let's be honest, is there ever a great, perfect time to renovate a golf course? I mean, if we were searching for that, there probably wouldn't be a lot of renovations taking place, but these are tough decisions, and I applaud the committee and the board for going down this route. When I look in my business at threats to the future of what's going to keep us from being an elite level club, one of the top 2-3 clubs in the state, you know, you have to start at your most valuable piece of ground, and that's your greens. When you look over the golf landscapes, there's been huge improvements over the last 30 years since we've built our greens. You know, frankly, when we're talking about greens, we're talking about two areas: what's going on under the grass, subsoil dynamics, and what's on the surface. And we're looking to improve both those. What we're trying to do ultimately is just keep the Country Club of Lincoln relevant well into the future.
When I first visited the club out here, I think one of my first impressions of the property is that it's small. It's 110 acres for an 18-hole golf course, and there are a lot of trees. I want to say over 1,000. Much of the character of the course is these straight tree-lined holes. There's not a lot of variety or width of play or architectural interest. It's just kind of hit it straight and hit it long. So I think part of our strategy with the trees is to do some selective clearing where we can create some width, where we can expand some fairway landing areas.
There's been an ongoing battle, trees versus turf forever. You know, the question is, what's the right number? You know, we don't want to lose the nuances of what makes the country club great, but little trees they planted 60, 80 years ago have become big trees. And frankly, they're competing with growing high quality, high-end turf. Bring in a good architect, have some design characteristics so that maybe we can have the best of both worlds, a great golf course, but not be totally lined with trees everywhere. We're not proposing removing all of the trees on the golf course. We're looking at about 190 to 200 trees on this property. There's 1,100 right now. I'm have a pulse on the industry at what some high-end clubs are doing. That's a pretty small number, to be honest with you. So it's a change here. I think we've got the right architecture in place to do this, but it's definitely a new views, and I think it's exciting.
If you look back and get all the membership surveys we've had the last 10 to 15 years, there's two main themes that come up, and that's the practice facility is inadequate. There's not a lot of space, and we've never had enough parking. But we all know that we're landlocked here at the country club. So with the design and renovation of the course, we found a way to make the practice facility more cohesive. So you expand and widen the driving range, and also get a practice green that you can hit 30, 40-yard pitch shots. We don't have that right now. And then on top of that, you gain about 38 parking stalls with doing that. You move the maintenance road to the north a little bit of 6th Green, and you gain and make that practice facility contiguous, where right now you have the chipping green by 9 and then the driving range a little bit further away. So then this renovation then solves two problems in doing some redesign.
And we're making the golf course better. We're making the short game facility better. All the stuff that came up, and we're adding 38 golden parking stalls. That's just amazing. And so that was exciting out of this whole process, is to fix that solution that's so glaring to the membership and to the staff. One of the most exciting things was tee equity. And whether you're talking women, seniors, juniors, all the players that need a little bit more of a forward teeing ground, that's definitely something that this club is lacking.
The interesting thing, architecturally speaking, is that the only shot that we can really control as designers is the tee shot. So I think some of the gaps you have in here at the golf course here is you have forward tees, but you may have a senior tee that has to play on a white on one hole and a forward tee on another hole, and it bounces back and forth. So the conglomerate is good, but from hole to hole, they're not in the right position. And so we want to fill in those gaps with what we call tee equity. The other part of that is that by controlling where we place the tees, each player basically plays to the same landing area, or generally the same landing area. So the person who hits the ball a long way, or someone who hits the ball short, they're playing to the same position where we have kind of the hazard set up. And another part of the tee setup is angling the tees so that as you move forward, you can get around some of the hazards more easily. And so that's the gist of drive equity. But tees are also related to strategy. We're going to be looking at adding fairway bunkering on the golf course. We've talked about the widening of the corridors of the golf course with some tree removal. That'll allow us to actually widen fairways and create different hazard setups with bunkering that will make you think off the tee a little bit. Another big part of this master plan project is to basically renovate the entire green surrounds. If you actually look on the golf course, I believe 15 of the 18 holes have a bunker left and a bunker right. And so we're trying to get some more variety using short grass or bent grass, roll-offs I call them, or roll-ons, where you actually have a ball that will feed off the side of a green into a short grass collection area, or maybe feed onto the green off of short grass, and maybe there's only a bunker on one side of the hole. But different setups that are related to the strategy that's back in the fairway as well. So trying to give more variety to the golf course and more interest.
You mentioned the changes all the way from the tees to the greens, right? And the exciting thing to me is it adds, the proposed plan adds length, so it can be a little bit tougher for the lower handicaps, and then it shortens tee length, you know, for either the high handicappers, men, women, juniors. And so this project isn't meant for one demographic, it's meant for everybody. And especially with the roll-offs, for a low handicapper that's going to try and get real creative and hit that wedge shot, opposed to a high handicapper that can putt it onto the green surface. To me, that's probably one of the best parts about this project. It's for absolutely everyone that plays golf here at the Country Club of Lincoln.
I think when we started looking at this renovation, you know, back in 2019, and looking at what this is going to look like, and it's not simply just taking the fairways and putting new grass on them. This is a complete renovation of this golf course, and we can look forward and go, what is the best turf for the future of the club, both from a agronomic standpoint, sustainability standpoint. We went around and got a USGA agronomist here. We talked to fellow clubs in the Midwest, and all the top clubs in this Midwest region, they're putting bent grass in. If they're doing a remodel, that's what they're doing. If it's a new course, they're putting bent grass in. It's lower input costs, it's easier to maintain, and it's a really good surface to play off of. So we started looking at that and go, what's the best for the future of the club? And that's how we came to the conclusion that bent grass is right now is the best option based on the renovation.
It's hard when you have your current fairway grass is doing well, which our current ryegrass fairways are, but it requires a lot of inputs. There's a reason that big clubs in this area in high humidity environments switched to bent grass 30 years ago. You have to sit back and go, look at the amount of inputs that go into making ryegrass great, and look at the costs associated, look at the headache for the maintenance crew. It's a grass that's very tough to keep adequate and maintain high-end playing conditions. And so for a renovation like this, you have to look at what's going to be the best long-term, what's going to be the best set us up for the future, sustainability. Bent grass is a proven turf. It's been around a long time. They've been putting it at high-end clubs for many, many years. People have short memories. I remember many years ago having some real issues with ryegrass fairways, and so kudos to my team. We've learned, we know the nuances of growing high-end quality turf, ryegrass, but I think if you're looking at a renovation like this, you have to, there's better options out there by far.
I've learned more about grass than I've ever wanted to, but you look
pretty boring.
you look at all the new courses and new remodels. There's new varieties going in that none of us have ever played off of. And it's what I've read and what I've learned is once we play off it, it's going to be a superb surface compared to what we play on now.
So one of the best aspects of this club is getting together with family and friends, and whether that's swimming or tennis or golf or dining, you know, that's a big part of who we are. And when you're talking about a putting lawn that's 25,000 square feet, which is basically quadruple the size of our current putting green, what an opportunity to have an exciting, fun atmosphere with friends, with kids, with your wife, evenings, any time of day, to go out and to have putting contests, you're settling a bet, or just having fun with kiddos. That's not something that's normal around here. I know you and I have both been to Bandon Dunes and that Punch Bowl and all those really unique, large putting greens, and this would be a focal point. This would be a staple that is like, Country Club of Lincoln did that, and how much fun came from it.
And it ties in with the proposed practice facility as well, where it gives you another place to practice, and with it being proposed to have lights over it as well, you can putt at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night with your friends, your family, anybody you want. And we all enjoy the camaraderie out here at the club, and that's what that's going to provide, is just an extra amenity to socialize and be with your fellow members.
The property out here at CCL is really, it's beautiful, it's rolling, but you don't see across the golf course very often because there's just a lot of clutter in the way. There's areas where trees are growing into trees, and so I think that's what we mean by selective clearing. If we can pull some of those out and open up some of those long views and see more of the golf course, see across, see the other people playing on other holes, it's an interesting property to see. As much as anything, it's going to be fun. You know, the connectivity that we're talking about, it has some function in some areas, specifically on 15 and 16, where we're creating more room and more safety, but it also just has a fun factor to it, where maybe you run a chipping area off a green and up into the next tee. And it just brings a cohesiveness to the overall property. It makes a small property look bigger.
I've been just kind of enthralled by some of these areas on the golf course. We're going to have some connectivity between holes, open up views, and without really changing any rerouting of this club, it's going to be what it's been for 100 years. It's going to feel like a new place. It's going to feel much more expansive. And so, yeah, there's some exciting features.